Hello, welcome to the HDI Monthly Webcast. This month we're talking about maintaining and improving service delivery. I'm Roy Atkinson, HDI's Senior Writer and Analyst, and we're excited to bring you the experience of Ric Mims today to help you in your service delivery endeavors. First, we're going to do a little bit of housekeeping for you. I invite you to get connected during our broadcast. Just click on the chat bubbles at the bottom of your screen, and you can poke around, talk to people in the lounge, in the theater. It's a great experience to be able to connect with the people who are attending as well. And you can follow up at HDI Connect, look at the blogs, the Ask Your Network. If you have a question, you can post there. We'll answer it. Look at the Buyer's Guide if you're looking for new products. And you can also connect with us on LinkedIn and on Twitter using the ThinkHDI hashtag. There's always activity on that tag and lots of information about current events and what's going on in our world. Just so you know how to do things today, if you need help, if something's not working right for you or you need assistance with the webcast theater components, there's a help button on the top menu there. You can click on that, and the folks from Inexpo will be happy to jump in and assist you and make sure that you experience the webcast the way you should. If you have a question for the presenters, you can type it in the box underneath the presentation screen and click Submit. We'll be looking at those questions, and we'll get to as many of them as we can at the end of the segment. And we love to hear you asking what you need to know. And if you want to follow up, we'll also be watching the group chat. And so we'll follow up with you there. And I actually see a question from Javier. And he's asking if we have access to copies of the slides following the presentation. The webcast will remain on demand after the presentation for just about a month. You can come back in and look at it at any time. We will make the slides available to you through the resources section. Okay? Thanks for the question. Our sponsor for today is LogMeIn, makers of secure remote access products. And we are very happy to have them as a sponsor. Thank you very much to LogMeIn for sponsoring the webcast and making it available free. And from LogMeIn today, we have Peter Zaynoun, who's the Director of Products for LogMeIn Rescue. And he's responsible for shaping the vision, product strategy, and overall direction of the Rescue brand, which focuses on providing technicians with elegant, reliable, cloud-based applications, deliver world-class customer service and remote support. Peter holds multiple graduate degrees, including a master's degree in information systems from Carnegie Mellon and an MBA from Boston College's Carroll School of Management. That's pretty impressive, Peter. And you can take it away. Tell us about LogMeIn.
All right. Well, thank you very much for that intro. So just to jump right on in, we'll talk a little bit about who LogMeIn is. A lot of people don't really know LogMeIn outside of maybe some of the basic consumer software that they've used, but we're about a 700-person company right now, based in 4 different continents. Excuse me, with offices in 4 different continents, including Boston as our headquarters, Budapest, Sydney, Bangalore, Dublin, London, and a recently opened San Francisco office as well. We're only one of 4 cloud vendors that have over 20% growth in revenue and earnings per share, and we're the market leaders in the vision of IoT with the simple mission of simply connecting everything. We have over 50 million active users and 500,000 customers worldwide. And just to show you a little bit of who some of our customers are, they're not just the small one and two people in a closet that are fixing machines. These are some of the largest companies in the world, as well as Microsoft, HP, IBM. They all trust their customer support and their customer service on LogMeIn and the LogMeIn Rescue products as well. And if you look at the entire suite of what we have across the board, like I said, our mission is to simply connect everything, and you see that we do that with our suites and our different clouds. So we have our customer engagement cloud, building people and relationships from the pre-sale using our bold chat and communication methodologies, as well as post-sale and supporting those products once they're purchased with Rescue. Our collaboration product in Join Me, a lot of people have used Join Me both in the free and a paid version, eliminating clunky collaboration tools like GoToMeeting and WebEx with our simple, easy-to-use interface and our easy-to-use tool. And then our connected object cloud. So, looking more towards the future of IT management and connecting different objects together, like smart devices, smart grids, and things like that. And finally, our classic cloud that we've been in for since pretty much the inception is our IT management cloud, allowing you to easily manage computers, assets, maybe even different peripherals, as well as individual users and technology through our App Guru and our Meldium applications, as well as collaborating with different applications. The focus of the products that we're going to be talking about a little bit more today would be on our customer engagement cloud, specifically Rescue. And for those of you who haven't heard about Rescue before, it is our powerful remote support at your fingertips application, allowing you to simply connect to anybody, anywhere, and resolve any of their problems that they have, making it easy for you to do things like resolve any smartphone issues, resolve any computer issues, and actually manage a team of technicians to provide that world-class support for you. Excuse me. It's an easy and intuitive solution that we've been adapting for the past nine or so years, and it's an enterprise-grade platform that makes it easy for companies, whether they have 5 technicians or 5,000 technicians, to easily scale to provide a broader base of business for anybody that they need to support in any reason. Essentially making it easy for you as a company to provide the best support for your customers whenever and wherever they need it. So with that, I'll hand it back on over. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Peter. Great quick overview of some of the things that LogMeIn is all about. And again, we appreciate your sponsorship here at HDI, making it possible for us to deliver things like this webcast to our audience for free. A great thing. Okay, so some of the things you might want to think about today are developing your service improvement plan, the importance of customer feedback mechanisms, translating feedback into actions. That's so important, as I'm sure that Rick will tell you. If you gather feedback and don't take action on it, your customers will not be extremely happy with you. And accurately interpreting KPIs, all right? Learning to work the numbers so that they're telling you what you need to know. So with that, I'm going to introduce Rick. I've known Rick for many years as a fellow HDI local chapter officer and as a great presenter at HDI conferences. He's currently service delivery specialist with BP Americas and Global Operations. He has more than 23 years of experience in service desk management, IT service management, consulting, and operations. Throughout his career, Rick has held various positions such as team leader, relationship manager, help desk manager, ITIL consultant, and he's also served in many capacities for HDI, foremost as a member of HDI Global Faculty, and we appreciated your presence there, Rick, and we miss you, and has participated as a member of the HDI Conference Faculty, and now he's at BP Americas in service delivery, and that's what he's going to talk to us about today. So, Rick, please do take it away.
All right. Thank you, Roy, and thank you for the invitation to have me here today. I'm really excited about this particular topic. It's been something that's been a part of my life for the last year as an initiative here at BP. So most of what I'm going to talk about today is really something that I've lived and breathed for at least the last 14 to 16 months. So it's kind of coming from a very intimate part of my life here. So at any rate, let me change slides here. And since Roy did such a beautiful job about introducing me, I won't waste any time on about the speaker. But let's move into the nitty-gritty here, and let's talk about what we're going to get into today. So primarily, we're going to discuss the elements that actually make up a service improvement plan. I'm sharing this with you once again as part of a case study of an actual service improvement plan that I put together with my team earlier this year, and we actually won a Service Management Award here at BP for our efforts. So the approach to what we did is very grassroots, it's very pragmatic. It was ITIL-esque, but we made sure that in the process of things, we really, really simplified our approach to getting the service improvement plan done. In defining the plan, we're going to discuss the myriads of possible inputs to your plan. Oftentimes, putting together a strategy and plan can be a real huge task. It can be monumental at best. Today, I'm hoping to help you take away some of the obstacles when deciding what specific tasks and activities will garner value to be realized by your customers. Another obstacle to building a service improvement plan, guys, is coming to an agreement regarding articulation of what the actual problem or problems are. Oftentimes, we'll sit in these brainstorming meetings and they go in circles, and they go in circles. Why? Because being technicians, being project managers in various roles within the IT organization, instead of simply just articulating the problem, we're working to try to solve it. And that's not what this is about just yet, not at this early juncture. So we'll talk about that in more detail. Later, in the section on governance, we'll discuss what happens after implementation and the enforcement of all of the policies and standard operating procedures for service delivery that will actually allow you to achieve your SLAs along with measurements and reporting. So, as Roy mentioned, I've been a member of the HDI Global Conference faculty, and I was an instructor for quite a few years. And typically, in order to bring value to the session today and for you to really get out of it what you want, Roy is going to be monitoring the chat. And if you'd like to, please go ahead and chat in, and I'll keep going with the presentation. But go ahead and let's get a feel for what are you seeking from today's session. And in particular, what are your specific areas of interest related to service improvement planning? I'm sure this is the time of year, especially fourth quarter, where a lot of us are having to prepare for next year, looking at budgets, looking at all of the new items associated with what we have to accomplish next year. So your service improvement plan is certainly a key instrument in articulating those requirements to senior management and your business stakeholders as well. Okay, moving on. So there are many terms and definitions to know and understand within ITIL itself and within the confines of continual improvement. This list that you see here encompasses many of the tools and methodologies and feedback that you'll need to build your service improvement plan. As an example, one of the things that we had to take a look at required us to actually purchase a service management system. And by service management system, I mean the typical Heat, Sharewell, Remedies, Trackits, whoever the vendors are. It doesn't really matter at this point. But it required us to go out to the market and take a look at a new service management system. So in looking at this list, our plan would include items from this list such as assessments, benchmarking, gap analysis, definitely risk analysis, and we're going to get into that here momentarily. Also illustrating the return on investment as well as the value on investment, to just name a few. So I thought that was interesting within the confines of what we had to accomplish within our service improvement plan. We certainly utilize many of the instruments that you see listed here. So, of course, in the scheme of things, the first thing you have to do is check ITIL. What does ITIL say about all of this? So ITIL is always a great guide, always a great place to check first. So what does ITIL say about continual service improvements? Well, of course, continual service improvements applies to service improvement and process improvement for a portfolio of your current service delivery. It should always be assessed and applied throughout the entire service lifecycle. So once again, going back to service strategy, service design, service transition, service operation, and of course, continual service improvements. You should always have an awareness of all aspects of the ITIL core processes. As ITIL recommends, you will always have recommendations for guidance in measurements, reporting, and really overall painting a picture of where you are now to where you want to be going forward. So also, this list was interesting for us because we utilized this list as targets for what we wanted to accomplish in our service improvement plan. So one of the things we took a hard look at was understanding the business roadmap. In other words, the future direction of the organization and where it's headed. Today you're going to hear me talk about the speed or tempo of business throughout the session. One of the things you also have to do as a project team, and by the way, this initiative should be taken on as a project and not as a one-off departmental thing. It should definitely be a project with identified roles, responsibilities, et cetera, and I'll talk about that here in a moment as well. But my point is, being brutally honest about service delivery is key, because your customers are going to be brutally honest. They're going to tell you how well you're doing, or they're going to tell you how bad you're doing, and you guys live with that every day. It's nothing new for you. Look for opportunities for your operating level improvements. That is, in your operating level agreements between the service desk, the network team, telecom team, whatever you have within the confines of IT, take a look at your operating level agreements to actually see if the way you work, and we call that here at BP the way we work, is the way we work conducive with timely service delivery. From a metrics perspective, interestingly enough, are you measuring the right things? Are your metrics meaningful to you? Are they meaningful to the business, your team? And primarily in a lot of aspects we've inherited metrics and we've never looked to see if they're actually relevant to the current service delivery. As ITIL actually dictates, there are 4 reasons for measuring. ITIL says reason number 1 is to validate previous decisions. Number 2, to justify with factual proof or evidence. Number 3, to set directions. And number 4, to identify a point of intervention. So one of the things I will be doing, by the way, and I forgot to mention at the start, is I am compiling a white paper on all of this, so I will have handouts available to you here in the near term. Just with life here, it's a little busy right now, so I couldn't get it done in time to make the presentation, but I will have this for you within the next couple of weeks, so you'll have something to refer back to. All right, moving on. All right, so what we want to talk about here are inputs to the plan. So this was something we took a long, hard look at, and we really had to come to an agreement upon what we were going to use as far as the inputs to our plan. Now, typically, across the board, with everyone else, your customer satisfaction ratings, that's key. What is it? This is our effective mechanism for feedback from your customers, suggestions for improvement. and being able to quickly integrate that into the development process. In fact, 2 of the project team members for our service improvement initiative were from the business. We felt it was necessary to actually go to the business and to ask them to bring about representatives from the business itself to then build that, once again, to kind of get that alignment going, to build that relationship, if you will. And then what's great about that in the end, these are people who will go back into their departments, their areas, and actually begin evangelizing the efforts that IT is putting into service improvement. Governance is a mechanism, in my opinion, that allows stakeholders to actually voice their opinion about the service as well. With ongoing prescribed governance meetings, you can actually invoke continual improvement rather than a one-off initiative. You're actually getting real-time information. You can actually begin to respond to the customer in an effective manner by always having that door open to them, having those meetings, working together to solve problems. Okay? There's nothing better, and that's something that we do twice monthly here. Typically, you will find in most organizations that a governance meeting, and those intervals are completely up to you. But because of our close-knit relationship with our customers here, we have actually put together a bi-weekly governance meeting, and it has worked very, very well. Sure, slide changes here. All right, so now let's talk about your service improvement plan. What is it? Taken from the graphic here, the service improvement plan refers to the steps that have to be taken if there is a significant gap between the promised delivery quality of a service and the actual delivery quality agreed upon. So, mindset. What did you agree to deliver versus what you have delivered? Does that match? I would venture to say in most environments that there's a distinct gap there, which that discussion alone will actually predicate the beginnings of a gap analysis. That's one of the things that we have to take a long, hard look at, and this is an opportunity to be honest with yourselves as a project team to say, hey, this is what we have documented, this is what we've published to the customer base. Are we actually delivering on that? Well, based on the KPIs that we're looking at, the trends analysis that we're looking at, we're falling short, along with the customer satisfaction ratings. So don't just look at your metrics as just a set of numbers or just data. You want to be able to see a picture. You want to be able to see trends, which then generates and gives you reasons for your service improvement plan. So the plan itself, now we're starting to get into brass tacks today. So the plan itself, the most basic question that you have to ask is, what problem are we trying to solve? As I mentioned earlier, guys, articulating the problem is the hardest task out of the entire mechanism. We're going to go in depth as time allows in the next section to actually discuss this in more detail. In the technology area, this category means nothing without a clearly documented, relevant process topology. In other words, document your workflow processes from the time an incident is generated, its various routing and termination points, through to resolution. You cannot properly purchase a technology tool without this step being done. It gives you the opportunity to realize value in your purchase by removing ambiguity. I know you guys, in some of the environments where I've consulted, and I've traveled this world quite a bit as a consultant, and the first thing I'll do, one of the first things I'll ask management is, do your people feel that the service management system you utilize to track your incidents, hopefully understand your problem management, hopefully track your changes, hopefully track your configuration items within the system itself and those relationships. How do you like the system? Typically, I think I've only been in less than 5 environments where they have said, we like what we have. typically you'll hear vendor system sucks. This system sucks. Well, that's probably your fault, I dare say. And I say that with all due respect from the perspective that when you engage the vendor to actually build your service management system, did you provide them with a process topology that pointed out the way you work? If you did not, you were looking at bells and whistles. You were looking at menu-driven items going, ooh, that's really cool. That's the mistake all typically make. So I'll talk about that here in a little bit later as well. But looking for opportunities for automation, looking for opportunities for integration, federation are all key in researching what you're doing in the way of service management. Huge opportunity for service improvement. Once again, your workflow processes. Be honest and truthful about your service processes. The most difficult thing to do is to leave company politics out of service improvement efforts. Are your processes delivering the outcomes they were designed to do? Have your processes been updated or modified to, once again, reflect the current service culture? All key. Just giving you food for thought here, guys. Giving you food for thought here related to going into your service improvement plan. Okay? The financial aspect of this. If cost becomes involved in this, and we'll talk about this in later graphics as well, return on investment. Is that going to be long or short term? So are upgrades involved, improvements, code changes, budgets? Do you have to go through procurement? All of those things are a part of the service improvement plan. So in building your service improvement plan, I provided this graphic on the slide so that this is a 7-step improvement process recommended by ITIL. This wasn't something I created. This is put together by the folks who write ITIL, and primarily kind of condense this down into 4 easy steps. Defining your inputs, which is what we just talked about. Gathering your data to support what you think you're going to do, to get that picture painted. You're going to then process and analyze that information, and food for thought there in those questions. For example, service expectations being met? Is there enough data to make a viable decision? Thirdly, sources of data. Are they painting the same picture? Okay. So the next step, plan, design, and implement corrective actions. So you're not just going to build the service improvement plan, but in it, you're going to see, as I go through it, you're actually going to build a plan of action, and you're going to be presenting this to your senior management as far as the approach, what you're going to do, and how this is going to work from a cost perspective. Will there be any requests for changes generated as a part of your service improvement plans for next year as well? So let's dive into it. This is why you're all here. I'm going to kind of give you the methodology that we use to begin to understand how to bring about your service improvement plan. I hope Roy invites me back again. I'd like to get into this, probably a second step of this, to get a little more granular with it. But as time allows, this particular area is going to be somewhat high level, but I'm hoping I give you enough reference material and meat that you guys will be able to take back to your project teams and or your desk and begin to utilize. So first thing we got to do, guys, we got to define the problem. This is difficult, especially with a team of our IT cohorts, our team members, in actually articulating this particular area. We had probably 6 to 7 project meetings just in this particular area alone, defining the problem. Now, within the confines of our space here at the company, we actually have an office that is actually a continual improvement office, that their job is to ensure that we invoke a certain number of continuous improvement efforts each year, prescribed by a number of guidelines, and they're very stringent guidelines. One of the things within that is defining the problem according to their standards. So what I had to do was define kind of a sterilized, I couldn't share what we do here, but I wanted to find something that would definitely help you. So in looking at the problem, it should answer what it does, that problem does, what it does not do, the who, what, when, and where and how of it, making sure that we have that problem completely laid out by restating it. We're going to talk about also what is our desired future state. So in doing that, oftentimes that actually helps you understand what your current state is. So that's also can be derived from the gap analysis that you can put together. This particular methodology recommends restating the problem and combining the current state and the desired state. That's fine. That's completely up to you. Our focus primarily stayed on the left side of stating the problem. What are we doing? What are we not doing? You know, and in particular the conditions of it, supported by metrics and all of that. So, for example, I took a very sterilized version of the problem statement that we utilized to begin our project. So it talked about support of our clients' organizations' programs was variable and inconsistent. Resolution time for technical issues ranged from 3 days to 35 days, with little communications to end users. The organization's programs were paused, citing quality issues brought about by a lack of testing and systems availability. The service organization's reputation and credibility were questioned. Desire, reliability, and quality delivery of services. So on this graphic, it talks about keeping your problem statement down to 1 or 2 sentences. I say take the opportunity to break the rules as necessary, break the rules that actually allow you to develop the actionable items that you need to get to build your service improvement plan. This is just a guide. Utilize this with your project team as much as you need to actually make this work. Okay? So once again, just a guideline. So just wanted to show you that very briefly. All right. So one of the things that we did was to step 1, we put together, and you guys have seen this, the old Ishikawa diagramming or causal diagramming or fishbone diagramming. I'm sure there are many different names for it. The causal diagrams were created by Kaoru Ishikawa in 1968, and it shows the causes of a specific event. This is a great tool for you and your project team to work with. Common uses of the Ishikawa diagram are in ITIL used to identify potential factors causing an overall effect. Each cause or reason for imperfection is a source of variation. Causes are usually grouped into major categories to identify these sources of variation. So the categories that we used were people, systems, locations, and process. This is a brainstorming tool, guys. There are no limits to utilizing this. So in the diagram here where it says articulate agreed upon problem statement, you're going to place the problem statement in this box. Each one of the lines from process, from locations, from systems, from people, and the subcategories underneath are actually false. So under process, do we have an issue with processes? Yeah, they lack standard operating procedures. We lack training in the process area. From a location perspective, we identified different geographic environments that definitely had issues going on there. From a people perspective, lack of AV support, high attrition rates from coordinators, lack of skills from the coordinators, and be as honest about these things as possible. The beautiful thing about Ishikawa diagramming is each one of these lines from your categories are its own individual brainstorming session. Project leaders, make sure you exhaust each one of these categories before moving on to the next one. In that, this is a brainstorming tool. Some things will apply to more than one category. That's okay. Don't limit yourself here. Now, in our particular instance, looking at locations, process, people, systems, it appears that, and one of the things that's going to happen with these diagrams as you guys go through it, some of the categories will have less faults and some will have more. And so in our particular area, our particular issues were all systems related, mostly systems related. So that's where we began our efforts at building our service improvement plan. So to show you this very briefly, after you get done identifying all of the faults or they're better known as subcategories under each category, what we did was we took each one of those items under systems and we listed them 1 through 10. After you get them down on paper and you all agree, what you want to do then, guys, is begin to prioritize them according to importance. Now, I gave you at the bottom of the graphic there, I gave you some guidelines for actually prioritizing the items or the faults that you found from the Ishikawa diagramming. So as you list these out and you go back and then on a separate side, you want to list these out according to order of cost, availability of resources, how they impact patterns of business activity, impact to the customers, resource utilization. Do you have enough resources to make this change, both human and technical? Maybe these things that you're looking at impact server capacity. Maybe there's high levels of risk, change management. All of these things are part and parcel of actually prioritizing your faults according to what you found in your Ishikawa diagramming. Okay, so once again, in identifying the root cause of these things, you're not working to solve the problem yet. So stay away from working to solve the problem. If you are the project lead of this and you are facilitating these brainstorming sessions, you're going to have to say numerous times, guys, it is a problem, let's just get it on the board. Don't sit here trying to solve the problem. That's not what you're there to do just yet. The biggest part in problem solving is recognizing that thing as a problem. And then we can then prioritize according to what are we going to work on first, according to what we find and recommend to senior management in the way of cost, availability of resources, patterns of business activities, and all of those things mentioned there in the box. Now, we can make those recommendations, and 9 times out of 10, management is going to come back with its own set of directives for you to invoke your service improvement plan. And in fact, that's what happened with us. All right. So the plan itself. So this is a view of one of the myriads of tasks that we were tasked to do. But what I wanted to do here was to give you a format so that you can actually begin to lay out and look at, according to prescribed timelines, and your individual items of how to get those things done. So the first task for us was work to improve systems reliability. Okay? Well, how do we do that? Well, one of the things we have to do is maintain operational integrity. Well, under that, how do we maintain operational integrity? Well, one of the things we did was ensure standard operating procedures for certain sessions that we were doing are trained and communicated. engage global operations to obtain a calendar of ongoing updates and patches which were impacting us, on and on and on. So you go into detail here under your subtasks, under what is it that you're going to do to achieve the overall goal of improving systems reliability. Okay? I hope this particular format makes sense to you. It really worked well. And it's also a great way of actually laying out to your senior management when you do your presentations for your service improvement planning. So it gives them a view into what you have proposed as far as timelines and what you are planning to actually do. So that, and these were really great meetings for us because they had specific questions. It actually brought back, and we were congratulated for actually recognizing for some things that they weren't aware of, which then goes back to a gap analysis also. But also we made recommendations as far as when these specific subtask items were going to be completed. Okay? And so as you see there on the graphic, task 1, improve systems reliability, well, that timeline is an annual timeline. It's going to take all year to accomplish the overall. And then subtask 1, 2, and 3, you can prescribe and actually illustrate the actual timelines that it's going to take to get those individual areas completed. For example, in subtask 2, one of the things that we recognized was performance management. And we identified all of the individual bulleted items under that particular area. But we also realized that several months after we complete the initiative of performance management, we needed to move into standardization. And so within the confines of standardization, we identified some other areas, but that was just a part of the overall effort in getting back to improving systems reliability. Subtask 3 is effective security. That's always ongoing. Security, yeah, that never dies. So we identified the areas under security and that we gained agreement to from our digital security group as well as senior management. So a lot of it was communicating security policies and reinforcement of those policies was key for us. Delivering services according to guidelines that are prescribed here. Ensuring conformance to data classifications. All of those things, guys, you need to spell out in your presentation. This presentation in this format is viable for your project team as well as that, once again, for your senior management. All right. So just some other things I wanted to throw in here for consideration. Costs. That's always a big one. So where you prescribe staff resources, for example, with more mature skill sets, training comes into play there, obviously. So salaries increase, whatever the case. Get the right people in the right place doing the job that needs to be done. And also, I dare say, those people also need to have the right attitudes as well, okay? So just food for thought there. One of the key things that we do well here at our company is we do training on continual service improvement activities. We actually have classes on what the company has decided they want to see in a way of continuous improvement activities. We have a methodology. We have a very distinct methodology with guidelines. Where they prescribe metrics, the whole 9 yards, and step by step, the templates that actually get us to our action plan. So if you get the opportunity, if you have not trained on ITIL's continual service improvement, you know, and ITIL, of course, takes a look at continuous versus continual service improvement. I don't want to get into that today. That's a whole other thing. But primarily, you want to be sure that you get training on continual service improvements so that you'll have some great background knowledge and information to go from if you haven't had that training. So that training, what's great about it, it does set expected outcomes. It's similar to the project management office you have within your organization. In order to have a project running properly, primarily these are the things you have to accomplish with the proper stage gates for a project to move to the next area. So it's that same type of thing. There's always going to be costs for tools. The tools for gathering, monitoring, processes, and presenting data. You have to take a look at federation and integration of some of the systems that you have. So it may be, your knowledge management system is feeding from your configuration management system. All of them may be disparate systems depending on your organization, but federation actually allows hooks into all of these different sources of data to be combined into your service management system so that you can have information at your fingertips. And that's really key for a service desk as well, okay? So just be aware of that. Integration always has inherent costs associated with it. Benchmarking, always look out to the market to see what is out there and who else has done what. There's no need to reinvent the wheel. Costs can be associated with this as far as perhaps having a membership with HDI, ITSMF, the Gartner Group for benchmarking information. Gartner Group is one of the most well-known entities for benchmarking information. The metrics and data that are gathered by HDI is also a wonderful, wonderful look at what everyone else is doing in the industry along the lines of service and support. Communications and awareness campaigns as you make changes can bring about costs as well. Implementing knowledge management. Take a look at the maturity of your knowledge management system. If you do not have one, it would most certainly behoove you to take a look at this. Knowledge management in some cases are not taken, it hasn't been taken serious by many CIOs. They feel it's a waste of time, it's a waste of money. But also not having the correct information at your fingertips, inconsistent service processes, inconsistent ways of delivering services, and all of that, and all of the ambiguity associated with service delivery can most certainly be removed by having a distinct knowledge management system. And for those of you that aren't familiar, HDI actually offers a wonderful course in knowledge-centered support, or KCS is what the methodology is known as. Wonderful, wonderful information from that class. Okay, moving on. Now, justifications. After you get the service improvement plan done, you're going to have to really take a look at, in some areas, justifying what you need to get done. Let me give you some examples. Gained efficiencies such as shorter times to fulfillment for service requests, shorter time to resolution, all of those are very important. But be sure, and this is the section on KPIs and metrics I kind of wanted to talk about. One of the things that you want to do that is very, very effective along the lines of your metrics and data is, one, write this down, build a data dictionary. And you should have a data dictionary in your current service level documents, and if you don't, I'll point out why. Your data dictionary is a simple summary, and it looks at what the metrics are that you are prescribing, the formula for measuring your service items, and their definition and purpose. Once again, the data dictionary, what the metrics are, we'll prescribe 65% first call resolution, the formula for measuring those items, okay, and also the definition of what that item is. By building a data dictionary, you will actually obtain agreement from management and your business stakeholders on how success will be measured. What does success look like? Very, very important. Another thing you want to do is model your cost reductions. So by doing certain things within and reducing certain areas within your services, I want to model our cost reductions. Well, how can I do that? Well, task your vendors or suppliers to aid you in this effort. In some areas of your business, perhaps it's time to put certain outsourced services out to bid to actually ensure you're receiving the best pricing and value. Okay? Risk. If you've had little experience in risk management, risk is the backbone, in my opinion, you guys, of service improvement. I mentioned earlier, one of the mindsets associated with risk is, what happens if I do nothing? Understand that risk has impacts that are far-reaching to your organization. Recognition and articulation of risk is one of your main drivers to aligning IT with the business. To successfully implement a project, you must identify and focus your attention on middle and high priority risks. Otherwise, you risk spreading your efforts too thinly, and you'll waste resources on unnecessary risk management. Be sure, if you don't have a lot of experience in this area, be sure to get training. It's key to success. Risk management, I can't stress this enough. Okay. Oops. And I know I'm running short on time here. So, benefits realization. Why are you doing the service improvement plan? Why are you doing service improvements? Okay. Well, the buzzword here is value. Value from your suppliers and your vendor partners in performance, pricing, and preventive maintenance activities. Innovation. Always look to the market for tools that reduce your OPEX costs, your operating expense costs, your OPEX costs, to run with more robust capability. Many CIOs where I've consulted have hung on to tools that have been in the environment for 10, 15 plus years in the name of cost savings. I would dare say what it costs to run these old technologies are outweighed by many of today's web-based systems and overall compatibility and capability. Okay? Also, as I mentioned earlier, a couple of graphics back, your OLAs. Do the operational processes deliver value and efficiencies? Do they support the SLAs you have published to your customer base? Once again, food for thought there. Governance. How do we validate and sustain results? Key thing. How do we validate and sustain results? You don't want to do all of this work and then just let it fall by the wayside. How do we validate and sustain results? Governance gives you the opportunity to enforce the policies and procedures you've designed and implemented. If your customers are not given the rules of the road, so to speak, enforcing a support model can be very difficult. It becomes much more difficult to enforce SLAs without defining roles and responsibilities. In particular, accountabilities, responsibilities, and management, along with an agreed-upon plan of communications, which includes routing and escalation of issues. A good tool there is a RACI matrix. Responsible, accountable, consulted, and informed. Measurements and reporting are reviewed through an ongoing meeting with business stakeholders, and I mentioned that to you also. Just wanted to restate some things there as well. Very key to building that relationship, and once again, aligning yourself to the business. Some of the activities I recommend are listed here as well. Okay, monitoring your process effectiveness is probably one of the key things you can do. Don't do all of this work and walk away. That's just the beginning. Deliver key performance indicators that are important to the tempo of the business. Hey guys, temper unreasonable demands from the business. If in some areas, and I know there are some areas where, we're going, hey, that's a little ridiculous, but drive that cost back to the business. If you want it, pay for it. Okay? One of the key things you can do is the old concept from ITIL v2 called notional charging. If we do this, we put this in place for a trial period, let me show you in reporting how much this will cost you by the month, how many people are using it, is it viable, all of those things. A pilot program is a great way to go in order for you to realize that you are doing the right thing. And by goodness, whatever you promise, make sure you can measure it. If you can't promise, if you can't measure it, the assumption is failure. The assumption is failure. So with that, I think hopefully I've given you enough to work with. Hopefully, you know, in some areas you will actually be able to approach your service improvement plan. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact Roy, who I guess will contact me at this point, however that mechanism works. But my email address is there, and as well as you can find me on LinkedIn. So once again, Roy, thank you so much for the invitation. I hope you guys found this useful and valuable, and I'm available for questions.
Great. Thank you, Rick. Really good presentation, a little dive into the nuts and bolts of getting this done, and I thank you for that very much. We do have a couple of questions. Is Peter still on the line?
I am.
Okay, Peter, I've actually got a question for you, and the question is about LogMeIn Rescue. Does it support iOS devices?
It does. So we do have an iOS application that technicians can have their the end users download onto their mobile device, and they can connect on into the iOS app and do some troubleshooting, do some co-browsing, even see screenshots of issues that the end users are having, and highlight problems and identify resolutions for them.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. And then we have a couple of people who stated why they came, which is what we asked at the beginning, Rick. Mm-hmm. And Trey says, looking to make sure we stay focused on what will bring us the most value when mm-hmm. creating a service delivery plan and staying focused on the customer. So I think you hit the nail right on the head there for Trey. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then Jeff says, looking to gain a clear understanding of planning for 2015, outline the mm-hmm. goals, the budget, the details, and the timelines. Mm-hmm. So I think Jeff probably got a little bit out of today as well. So yeah. I think you really, and actually I had a question for you myself. Mm-hmm. And I noticed that costs were not the first thing you spoke about when considering a service improvement plan. And yep. I think I personally think that organizations sometimes make a mistake when they put costs first before yes. considering the current and future desired states. Would you agree with that? And maybe you can elaborate a little bit.
I would absolutely agree on that. Cost is not the first thing to consider. You know, there is a thing of, you know, wasteful spending, whatever the case may be, and there's also gained efficiencies. But what we're trying to do as an IT entity is we're actually working to enable the business. That's the first thing. If we keep downtime under control for the people in the organization that are actually trying to do their job, our job is enabling business processes. If we work to reduce that downtime, then we're actually saving money on the backside. Do not dissect the service just for the sake of, oh, it looks good on the spreadsheet. That is not the thing to do. Because if you bring about high levels of customer dissatisfaction, you're definitely moving in the wrong direction.
You can't see me nodding because we're on the phone together, but I'm nodding along with what you're saying. Yeah, well put. Thank you. Thank you for that. Thank you so much. And I would once again like to give a quick thanks to LogMeIn for sponsoring today. It's terrific to have you all with us. Rick's presentation will be downloadable within a matter of minutes from the handouts folder for this webcast. And there are lots of resources as well from LogMeIn in the resources folder. So please take advantage of those. They have lots of good information for you. And we hope to see you again soon here in the Webcast Theater. Have a happy Thanksgiving in the meantime. We'll be back here in the theater on December 16th. So watch for information on the December 16th webcast. It's going to be a good one. So thanks again to Rick, to Peter Zainoun, and all the folks who made this possible from an expo, and we hope to see you again soon. Stay tuned.
Thank you.